Well, here we go. Ugly Bastard. Yes, I'm talking to you. Do you have a perfectly working family with a loving hot wife? Add a little bit of Ugly Bastard in it and that shit will terrorize a perfectly fine marriage and made it into these. Ugly Bastard, or UB for shorter, refer to the infamous H genre which usually depict unattractive and usually fat men having intercourse with the girl. This tag is usually sprinkled in multiple other genres such as MILF, NTR, Ollies, Knees, Mind Control, and a couple more that you could probably think of. Now here's the real question. How can I change your mind on this shitty tag? Similarly to my NTR and Futanari video, I absolutely hated Ugly Bastard as a tag and it pissed me off when watching H or reading a doujin when suddenly that face appeared. And I can tell you, by the end of this video, that face ain't gonna change, just the mentality behind it. UB, unlike NTR, doesn't make me think of my life choices depending on what kind of doujin you read. Now that I think about it, my first H was Shinsei Yariman Gakuen Enko Nikki, which featured an Ugly Bastard and Gyarus, which honestly wasn't that bad for an introductory H for my younger self because the UB in it isn't that bad, which brings me to the first point. All UB will be fat and in some cases slightly obese. Most of the UB are mostly middle-aged men and sometimes the writer could pull a 18-year-old UB, which is not that common, but you've seen them in a high school setting or something. They embody this sleazy and scummy character archetype that mostly appear in non-wholesome doujin, similar to this character type. Now here's the thing. Which one appear in NTR doujin more? The fat dude or the tan buff dude? Speaking as a doujin veteran, UB don't appear as much as a tan dude in NTR, and I can't even remember the last time I read doujin where the bad guy was a UB. You see, going back to my first H, the main character is a UB. I know he doesn't look like the one that you see in memes, but he is in fact a UB, and even better, he's a decent UB that gets consent from the girl, though in this case Gyarus. Still, it's vanilla in a way. This brings us to the first point. There's a lot of variation of UB in doujin and I can name a few with a decent UB that I personally like. This one is actually very good because the main character is actually genuinely a nice guy that cares for his student, while the main female character actually looks like tomboyish, which is also a plus. They both have a consensual relationship. Overall, this is pretty vanilla stuff. The UB is actually redeemable, and the comment section is quite funny. But this is one of the more wholesome one. Short stack, which you don't see that much. She initially looked lolly, but it's quickly debunked because she's a first year university student. And the main UB is not even a UB. Like he just looks like a middle-aged man. And there's two more other stories beside this one, but this one is a good starting point for people that started to read Ugly Bastard. But like I said previously, he's not even an Ugly Bastard, so you guys might have an easier time reading this than before jumping into the hardcore one. If you were to go on Enhand website, the UB tag is replaced with BBM or DILF, so keep that in mind. Anyway, from this list, if you go on your own, you can see that some UB are not that bad in terms of physical look, or should I say, revolting. With the exception of 384873 titled Hypno, which honestly, you have to brute force your way to enjoy it. You have to. My next point is the plot. As previously mentioned, the main antagonist in NTR is mostly tan fit dude and UB. Some on the list that I provided has a wholesome plot with not so ugly UB, which kinda works for me because in reality, how many of us is this one? Working out is a huge commitment and takes so much effort, let's be real. Choosing which one to read is important. Similarly to making first appearance, if you mess it up, you messed up. Look through the tag and maybe look at the comment section to see the overall response to it. The comment section is a huge mess and it's funny, but occasionally, you can tell whether or not the doujin is good through the comments. I don't watch hentai that often, but like I mentioned previously, Shinsei Yariman is not a bad start because it's literally the first thing I saw as a budding teen, and look at me, I turned out fine. If you like watching instead of reading, I highly recommend Baka Dakedo Chinchin Shaburu no Dake wa Jouzu na Chichan. Oh, that last one was kind of rough. This one is about a guy trying to give a, cute dumb Garrett study lesson and she compensate him in another way. The story is perfectly vanilla enough, but the second episode is really good due to the ending, which I won't really spoil. And my knowledge on good UB hentai is limited, so please feel free to share anything you know in the comment section. Now the not so vanilla one is hard to enjoy, but this one tip will help you enjoy most of the infamous tag without worrying. I cannot stress hard enough that all the stuff that happens in doujin is just fiction. Those are mostly drawings, and if you can't enjoy it, it's fine to ignore it, but do not be the guy that deliberately go out to trash others for what they like. The same thing applies to me with NTR, with me perfectly knowing that it's just drawings, but the emotional pain is real for me. So, I avoided NTR because of it. The same thing applies to UB. Whereas NTR is just a pure emotional pain, UB is just a physical concept of ugly dudes getting chicks, which doesn't fuck most people over and causing depressing post-nut clarity. You just gotta find the one with decent plot and not so ugly looking dude, and I can guarantee you that this tag is not that bad. And once you get more into this, you'll probably change your mind and you're probably gonna read a lot more worse UB once you get used to this. And I guess at some point, after reading a lot of ugly bastard, I guess I became one, because it doesn't affect me as much. I think this might be my curse, but I'm happy to share with all of you. Take it, I don't want it. And before I go, please consider leaving a like and sub if you enjoy my content, and we'll see what other degeneracy tag that I can explore. Have a good day.